Well, everyone, welcome back to the Gridiron Grind with Andrew and Lance. Today's episode, we have a few interesting subjects. We have a little debate between who has the better deal, the Seahawks with Sam Darnold or the Raiders with Geno Smith. We're kind of divided on this. Usually we're pretty close in agreement, but that's going to be a very interesting little debate. We'll also look at some of the latest news, some latest signings and extensions. But first, I want to give the floor to my buddy Lance because he has a bone to pick. He has something he wants to touch on that's on his mind. And I just want to give him the floor. It has to do with the tush push.
Andrew, we don't need to dig into it because the results are already out there. Well, actually, no
Okay.
results are out there because they punted it like
Mm-hmm.
wimps because they knew they didn't have the votes and they didn't want to get it out there. And you know what I
Uh-huh.
thought about? It's twofold why they did this. One, they didn't have the votes, but two, they didn't want it to be on the record who the 16 were that were against it.
That's a very good point.
I
There's
think
like
the
three or four teams that have been vocal about it,
oh
but
yeah,
that's about
yeah.
it.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, Andrew, the Cowboys, Commanders, and Giants have been quiet. They have been like radio
Uh-huh.
silent. And I think they're just in the background, like, this is perfect. Everyone else is going to take all the brunt, and we're going to get exactly what we want, a slightly less powerful Eagles opponent in our division. It just, but this is the thing I want to get into. So I
Yes.
don't think we've talked too much in the past, Andrew, about what I do for work, but I work for a group called the Association of Idaho Cities. And this will tie back into what I'm talking about. I promise. We'll get
Okay.
there. This will be quick.
We'll get there.
But I have to go to the Capitol a lot. So I'm involved a lot in like the legislative
Hmm.
process, meeting with legislators, seeing how things get crafted, right? Like how we make laws in the state of Idaho. And
Okay.
sometimes it's pretty interesting. And you have what are called hearings, right? And this is where you like
Hmm.
bring up bills that you want to put forward for making things better. Like you told me about the fact the state of Colorado about having those, 4 months or so of paternity leaves to be able to bond with your kid, right? Like those types of things coming
Hmm.
out. So, um, oftentimes you'll hear these legislators go up to talk about the bill and they have no idea what they're talking about because someone else has handed them the bill and they're running with the bill.
Yeah.
And in our state, it's been interesting how much the Speaker of the House will tab legislators and say, hey, you're going to run this bill for me because you're going
Mm.
to do it as a favor. If you want to end up in a chair someday, if you want to end up in a leadership position, you're going to do me
Mm.
this favor. I can't put my name on it. You're going to run this bill. So, this is the interesting thing. I'm not saying this was all the idea of the big head honcho, but I don't think it's coincidental after everything's gone down this week that Roger Goodell gets on his high horse saying, hey, we need to get rid of this play after the vote
Mm.
goes down. Uh, maybe this isn't
Interesting.
quite the maybe this isn't quite the proposal that he wanted the Packers to run with, but here's a couple of things to keep in mind. The Packers president has to leave after this year. He is the
Yep.
perfect sacrificial lamb. There is no long-term there's no long-term consequence. He gets to go
Uh-huh.
out as soon as he's done. And so in his mind, I mean, to me, if I'm Roger Goodell, I need to find somebody
Hmm.
who's going to run this bill for me or this rule for me. Hey, Murphy, I know I've got this quote here. You told me how much you don't like the tush push. Why don't you just run this rule for us? Craft it the way you want to, and
Hmm.
I'll help you push it across the finish line. I I could be wrong, but boy, it smelled fishy this week, Andrew. This felt like an inside coup job. It didn't feel like one crazy team conspiracy theory. It felt like an organized con job, and
Okay.
the NFL didn't quite have the grease to get this to the finish line.
At least not yet. They were able to table it until May.
Yes, yeah.
So that does scare me because that gives them more time to try to find evidence. But what doesn't make sense to me is they keep trying to show that there's injury risk. There's injury risk the second you walk in the stadium. So I don't want to hear that because they don't have any proof to show for that. So that to me that's nonsense. There's injury risk on every single play, and you can't show me that people got more injured during this specific play. It's basically just a QB sneak with a little push behind. Does that push really help that much?
Well, this was the other thing I was thinking about too. So they're talking about head injuries. So
Hmm.
if you're out on a football field, the times where head injuries are most likely are when you're taking two opposing forces that are yards. I mean, we're talking about 10 yards,
Hmm.
15 yards
And full
apart. Like,
speed. Hmm.
well, I mean, I'm thinking about like Justin Jefferson's coming over the top. Let's say he's going for a 40-yard catch, and the
Hmm.
safety is 15 yards from
Yep.
position, but he knows if he books it, he can get there just in time to maybe break up the pass. That's the
Hmm.
ideal concussion scenario. Not
Yep.
like, I mean, they're talking about offensive lineman, defensive lineman. They're like this close to each other. There's not enough time. There's not enough momentum built to do significant damage to another person's body. Like it's just it doesn't make
Yeah.
sense. It's not adding up.
And honestly, in my opinion, the quarterback is the most at risk because he's getting in the middle of all those 300, 400 pound guys who are just pushing as hard as they can. And he's just standing there basically, and he can get hit in any direction on his own team or the defense. Jalen Hurts is the most at risk, and the Eagles are fine with that play over and over again. So why should the rest of the league not be fine with it if they know the Eagles are putting their star player at risk with this play? He's the most at risk, not the lineman. That's just silly.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that's interesting too. Jeffrey Lurie, I don't know if you got a chance to listen to it, might have given one of the best speeches of his tenure as an owner, but he went
Okay.
on, it was like a 60-minute, um,
I did
basically
I
question
did
and
catch
answer.
a couple things about it. Like he was giving a lot of props to the coach and all that, but I didn't hear all of it.
Yeah. I mean, there's just one part that was really interesting where he said that his opinion that the brotherly shove is safer than a QB sneak. And his justification for it was
Hmm.
because one of the most dangerous parts about a QB sneak is if you have like a Troy Polamalu over the top, leaping and throwing the
Mm.
quarterback down, that it's more
Hmm.
dangerous because in this scenario, you'll at least have the running back or wide receivers behind the quarterback so that it's not a
Hmm.
total annihilation on the quarterback. Someone's
Hmm.
there to help kind of prop it up and prevent him from getting slammed to the ground.
Well,
I
that could
just
stop
thought
the
that was,
Commanders.
it sure didn't. I mean, it didn't quite go the way I mean,
Right.
let's just call it what it is though, Andrew. There's jealousy. There's jealousy.
Absolutely.
There's jealousy among the league. And
Hmm.
I mean, what better example is in 2022, this was an issue. 2023, the Eagles had this epic collapse. It's not an issue.
Didn't hear a
It's
peep.
non-existent.
Hmm.
It doesn't matter. I mean, the Eagles were imploding. They should have fired Nick Sirianni. I mean, there's a lot we could
Yep.
move on that, but
Yep.
it comes back after they won the Super Bowl, and it just here's what I would have said if I was someone that was even slightly bothered by it. Just focus
Hmm.
on anyone pushing anybody forward. There's so many clips I can think of. I know there was
Hmm.
a game I was watching with the Jaguars that the offensive lineman came in late and pushed the wide
It
receiver
happens
and
all the time.
cornerback,
Yep.
safety. Like that would be my thing. Don't even talk about the tush push. I would honestly just say on record, there's nothing to say that this is why it needs it. I'm talking about scenario down the field right here, or
Hmm.
5 yards down the field where we're running or offensive
Hmm.
lineman comes from the other end of the field and comes to contribute to the play. That's what I would focus on. There's
Yeah.
no need to, yeah. I mean, and Andrew, I can't understand the Buffalo Bills. What
I know. They're
they
on,
want it both ways. We'll
right?
run the play if it's here, but
And
please get rid
they're
of the play.
and I saw like I can't remember the exact numbers, but I saw like the succession conversion rates on that. And the Eagles were like mid 80s and the Bills were high 70s. They are so successful. Why are they trying to stop it? It made no sense. It made no sense.
Yeah, I don't know. I
And
don't.
I just don't get why people think the league thinks, the Green Bay Packers thinks, all these people who want to get rid of it think that pushing by a running back is helping that much. If they outlaw it, all it's going to be is a QB sneak. And instead of being successful on, let's just say it's 83% of the time, okay, well, we're now going to be successful 78% of the time. So, what, two more times the whole year we're not going to be successful?
Well, the part I can't understand though is like literally I've thought about this. Why if you're a team would you not put your running back and fullback right behind the guards and just push forward? Why would you not do that?
Hmm.
Because to me, I don't understand why you wouldn't. It's an advantage because if it's body
Hmm.
against body, which is that's what it's going to be with the QB sneak, they're going to put in tight too.
Hmm.
Why would I move those players outside or behind the quarterback? No, I'll just have them push other people and still make it easier for my
Hmm.
quarterback to move forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Only other thing I could think of is if they spread them out wide to try to maybe get a safety or a linebacker to at least have to cover them and not just let them wide open, because if they do, then that's an easy 10, 15 yards down the field.
But like I'm just thinking of other scenarios where I mean if I'm the
Hmm.
quarterback and I'm under the center and I put my running back to the left and let's say it's not looking good, I can just toss it to the running back and maybe he
Yep.
sneaks it outside. Like I just don't
Yep.
think they're thinking through all the
So many
scenarios.
options. Hmm.
And I think it's going to just actually make it more difficult to defend because it's going to force the Eagles to be more creative, which I don't think they
And
want.
that's not good. That's not good for the defense. Because I remember there was one play. I don't know. I want to say it was 2 years ago, maybe last year. I don't know who they were playing, but the Eagles ran a fake
Mhm.
QB sneak tush push, and it was like a flip to the outside, and there was nobody there. And the guy, I forgot who it was, but just ran in untouched. And that's what's going to happen. And you know what? Even if it's not outlawed, which I don't think they're going to get, I think they need 8 more votes
Mhm.
to shut it down. I don't think they're going to get that many. I would think it's probably going to get brought up again next year, and next year it could be in danger. But what I really want to happen is Sirianni and say, okay, this is our last year officially doing it. Let's have fun with this and run so many fakes, so many reverses from this thing. Oh, I really hope he tries something cool, like a pass out of it.
Mhm.
Who's gonna think there's gonna be a pass out of it? Like you act like you're gonna push and then you back out and the tight end just leaking down the field, easy pitch and catch for a touchdown. Oh, come on, Nick, please bring that for the possible last year this thing's here.
I think it's totally possible. I mean,
Hmm.
we'll see what happens. I just
Yeah,
uh, it pains me to say this, but as an NFL fan, I was never a fan of the Patriots, and I was never a fan of like those
yeah.
teams, and they drove me crazy. But I have
Hmm.
grown sympathetic for Tom Brady as a result of this issue because I
Hmm.
just feel like the Eagles are getting similar treatment, and they've only won one Super Bowl as a part of this group. Like it's not like
Yeah,
they're. It's weird,
yeah. And
man.
like you said last
It's
year,
weird.
everyone was done with them. No one even cared.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
polls move all the time. It's a frustrating situation, but I think it's going to
Hmm.
be interesting to see what happens in May, and I think that the NFL is looking for a way to do this more hush hush. You know, they don't want the coaches in the
Yeah.
room, and yeah, so
Yeah. And aren't they also looking at the whole division champion change in the playoffs as well? I think that one got tabled too. There was another thing that got tabled. It was
um,
tush push, and there was one other thing. I think it was that because I know they put a squash on the automatic first down on defensive hold, which thank you for that. Lions, quit crying. And I want to say that that was the one that they tabled. I don't think it's going to pass because they've tried to pass it like 4 times. And these situations like last year is like 1 in a million. But I want to say it was the playoff seeding got pushed till May as well. Because I know they passed the kickoff rule, which is going to be interesting. And they passed the overtime rule, which is awesome. Um, they said no to the penalty on defensive holding. I think it was the tush push, and I think it was the playoff seeding that got pushed until May. I think if I remember that correctly, that's what it was.
yeah, I'm trying to see if I can find something to confirm that. And I can't.
Hmm.
Um, definitely would make sense. So
Yeah, and I don't see either one of those passing. I think the tush push, like I said, it needs like 8 more votes. I don't think they're going to get 8 more within a month and a half. Um, Especially if there's like no new data. Like I did appreciate what they interviewed Kevin O'Connell at those meetings, and they asked him about the tush push, and he said that he just wants to know the data. Like how what is the injury risk? Is it a legal formation? What part of it makes it illegal? He said, I just want to know all the what's going on, like the data on it. I appreciate that because if there's injury risk for it, okay, let's see what we can do to change it. If there's a higher injury risk. And if there's actual illegal formation, which I don't know if that's true or not, but I heard some people talk about that or touch on that. If there
Hmm.
is something kind of not right about it, okay, let's tweak it. Let's talk about it. But to just want to squash it because you don't like it, that's just weak. That's just weak.
Yeah. And by the way, I did just confirm that they did table the wild card team discussion. So
Okay. Okay.
we'll see if that one gets brought up. One
It
part,
won't. Yeah, it won't pass. There's like a very low chance in my opinion.
well, one part that someone brought up that was interesting to me that I heard is right now in the current format,
Hmm.
um, all divisions, right? The four teams in that division have a 25% chance out of those teams to host a playoff game. If you
Hmm.
change up this
Hmm.
format, that goes away. Like I think that that's an interesting way to look at it, where
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
look at it from your division, you start out that year with a guaranteed 25% chance out of the four teams of that division
Yeah.
to get a
That's
get a.
fair. Home
So
playoff
I
game.
think that
Hmm.
from a revenue standpoint, I could see this becoming we want that
Hmm.
significant opportunity or chance to have a playoff game. You know,
Yeah.
so
And I still like the thing I heard a couple weeks ago where the division winner still hosts the wild card home playoff game, but the divisional round, that is whoever has the like better record, so to speak. I think that's good. I think that's kind of in the middle ground because you win the
do you
division, you still get to host the playoff game,
do you
even if
think
you're
that
like a
that
7-8 record.
wouldn't that wouldn't the only way that be the case is if, well, I guess I could see a scenario where like the two seed might not have as good of a record as the five seed, right? Like that type of scenario, because that'd be the only
It,
way
it,
you
it would
get
be
to
very
there.
rare. It would be very rare. Yeah, it would have to be like for last year. What would have had to have happened was, um, so the Vikings beat the Rams, and then the Buccaneers win. And didn't the Buccaneers lose? I think the Buccaneers lost. Yeah,
Buccaneers
they
lost.
lost. They would have had to win, and then Minnesota would have played the Buccaneers, I think. Um,
Because what about
I
the
think
Eagles
that's
and
the only
Lions?
way.
Who they
I think the Lions would have played. Well, the Lions. So basically, I'm trying to think this through, like off the top of my head. I think all wild card teams would have had to win basically,
mhm.
and then, um, well, man, I don't know. It's so hard to figure out how exactly that would be the case. It'd be very, very rare.
Because I could see a scenario where, but I mean, like let's say the number two seed in the in the conference has like a
Mm,
11-6 record, but the five seed has a
hmm.
12-5 record, but they
Yeah.
lost out to the 14-3. Like I could see that one.
Hmm.
I think it would be like maybe what you just change it to is that it's all determined by record after that point. Like maybe that's just the rule.
Yeah,
Like
I think that's what it
even the
is.
NFC, the
Yeah.
NFC Championship as well, right? Like the NFC Championship two would be because let's say the
Yeah.
four seed and five seeds win, but the five seed has the better record than the four seed. Like in that scenario, because
Yeah. That would
you
make
know,
sense. Yeah.
like an example I can think of is the Eagles played the Cardinals in the NFC Championship game a long time ago, like 2008. And the Eagles actually
Hmm.
beat the Cardinals in the regular season and had the better record than them. But because the Cardinals were the division
Car.
winner
Yep.
and the Eagles
They
were the
got the home
last team in
game.
the playoff, they got the home game. And that
Mm.
always sat under my skin
Uh-huh.
because I was like, oh, we should have
Yeah.
had that game.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, it'd be very
yeah.
rare, but yeah, that would make sense. Wild card, division winners get the home game. After that, it's by record. I don't mind that. I don't mind that.
Yeah. I mean, I think that that makes sense. I think, and you think you could talk people into that. I think that that's one
Hmm.
that kind of like, okay, there's merit to this. We take care of
Yeah.
covering the basis of,
Divisions
trying
still
to,
matter. Hmm.
mhm. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think that that makes sense. I could get behind that for sure. So now, will they ever discuss that? Who
No.
knows?
Well, I mean, they did amend that overtime pitch that the Eagles made. Like the
Oh
Eagles
yeah.
wanted to mirror completely, and they altered it to 10 minutes, quarter still. So I was like, okay, so they can amend pitches and still pass them. So you never know. You never know.
On an interesting note about that with the overtime thing, I've heard so many people talk about how frustrated they are that it's only 10 minutes.
I'm so I don't know why that's such a pain point because the main reason is so that way people can watch the games like every game because let's say the 12 o'clock game goes into overtime. If it's a 15-minute quarter, it's going to bleed into the 3 o'clock time frame, and you're not going to get to
Yeah.
see that game. Or they're gonna have to cut away from the overtime game so you can watch that. So it just be bad. 10 minutes, they might be able to get away with it a little bit better. Um, but one strategy is going to be, and the Eagles are going to be great at this, is if you go into overtime, we get the ball, run, 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 run. Let's bleed 8.5, 9 minutes off that clock. Score a touchdown or kick a field goal. Give other team like a minute. Good luck.
I don't know. It just to me, people have mentioned that it's not a fair system, and I'm just like, I don't
I
feel
don't see
bad.
the
Like
problem with it. Yeah,
if you
it's much better than what it was.
if you allow the team to go all the way down the field slowly, that's
It's
on you.
that's you deserve to lose. Yep,
I mean,
you
that's
deserve
on
to lose.
you.
Stop them.
I don't know. I just I
Or
kept
let
trying
them
to.
score. Let them score. That way you have a chance to get the ball
Yeah.
back and tie it again.
Well, I kept thinking through it. I'm like, what am I missing in this proposal? Because like at least 10 times this week from the things I was either reading or watching, I kept hearing things about how frustrated people were. And I'm like, what am I missing here? I don't
Yeah,
understand why
I don't
people
know.
are. Well, and then what's going to be the next thing? Well, if we have it to where it's 15 minutes and it's split up to where it's 7 minutes and 7 minutes, then the first team now has an extra minute. Well, that's not fair. We need to make it 16 minutes so that way, like,
No one's ever going to be happy.
the time question is never going to be figured out. That's
Hmm.
well,
Hmm.
I just have to say too. This is my last comment on it. We keep talking about what's the best system for overtime, and the best system for overtime exists at all levels underneath the NFL. I don't understand why we have to
Hmm.
reinvent the wheel when the best
Hmm.
version's already out there. It would just take a humble pill to make it happen.
Hmm. Yep. And you can adjust it. If you don't want to start on the 20-yard line, start the offense on the 35. Push it back a little bit, make it a little bit more tougher. Yeah.
Or just make him drive the whole field, but don't do time periods. Like you just flip it.
Hmm.
I don't know, something to where if you
Yeah.
want to make him work harder to have to score, that's fine. You know, make
Hmm.
them start at their own 35, just like an actual. If
Hmm.
they take the fair catch in the end zone, just start there and then flip it at the other end of the field or whenever it's the other team's turn.
Or you know what? Make it like flag football. Make it just off like the receivers and D backs, no linemen, like 7-on-7 drill.
No, we'll see, man. The format
Mm.
I will always want for overtime is you take seven of your players that are not kickers or punters and you have them kick field
Kick
goals.
off. That'd be
Like,
so funny to watch.
could you imagine how their opinions would change about kickers missing field goals after that?
Hmm.
After a wide receiver like shanks a field goal that goes into like
Hmm.
the 50-yard line stands instead of the end zone. I
Hmm.
feel like we would hear a lot less murmuring and complaining about kickers. Suddenly we would
Hmm.
appreciate them for how skilled they are.
Or give it to the kickers. Be like just be like soccer and have
Yeah,
just a kickoff. And you make it from 45, all right, back it down to 50, 55, 60. And whoever misses first loses pretty much.
I don't know.
That'd be interesting. I'd be
I
down
would
for
like
that.
that. I'd be down for that. So
Hmm.
yeah, um, I think that was my only note on that one. I don't know if there's any other rules you wanted
Okay.
to dig into.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I liked what was passed and what wasn't passed, as I touched on earlier. And the two that are be tabled till May, we'll see what happens. I don't anticipate them passing, but we'll see. And if they pass, we'll talk about it. We'll dig into it, but I don't really think there was much else as far as the rules go.
Yeah. Um, should we dig into like news around the NFL now, like as far as transactional news?
Well, I really want to talk about the Geno versus Sam Darnold thing.
Mm,
I really want to touch on that. Make sure that we can explore that space because the news around the NFL, there's not really a whole lot. There's a couple things we can touch on, but I really want to explore that Sam Darnold versus Geno Smith space because we're on opposite sides of that spectrum. I think that'd be a fun conversation.
well, I mean, it should be a short conversation, Andrew. I'm on the right side and you're on the wrong side.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, I mean, I guess that's what I was referring to when I meant transactional was the fact that Geno Smith signed his contract this
Okay, that's
week.
fair. Hmm. Hmm.
And a a lot of people are letting the $85 million do the heavy lifting, but that is not the contract. That is the
Hmm.
up to $85
The
million
first,
dollars.
the initial numbers are always the highest inflated possibility, which is never going to happen.
No, uh,
It's sticker shock. Like, he got that much? No, no, he really didn't. Look at the contract details. Hmm.
yeah, exactly. Well, and so in basic terms, he got a $66.5 million contract over the next 2 years after this year.
Hmm.
So he's
Hmm.
with Las Vegas for 3 seasons. So it's a Sam Darnold-esque contract. So they are
Yeah, very
similar.
similar. Hmm.
Here's my thing, Andrew. The Raiders only gave up a third round pick for Smith. I feel like that's incredible value because I also touched on the fact it was towards the end of the third round pick. So it
Hmm.
could be
It was our
argued that
comp pick, right?
I don't know if it was quite comp pick value, but it was like
Yeah.
92nd, 93rd. It was very far
Hmm.
back there. It was not
Yeah,
high. So like in my mind, when I'm looking at that number, you could justify as the Raiders, we just traded a fourth round pick, a high
basically.
fourth round pick,
Yeah.
a high one, but
Hmm.
you're
Hmm.
going to get someone as good as Geno Smith to be on your team for a fourth round pick in the draft.
Hmm.
Maybe. I guess you could get Russell Wilson in the draft at that value, or maybe Dak Prescott. But the likelihood of that happening, I mean,
It's pretty rare. Yeah.
I, I don't know. To me, I don't see it working out. I don't think you can bet on it. I don't think you can bet on it, but I think you
Yeah.
can bet on, Geno Smith giving you a couple more seasons and being competitive. And like I said, this all depends on your goals, right? It depends on your
Right.
goals and it depends on your long-term vision. The Raiders need to get seats or get the seats filled. They need to get people
Hmm.
in there. So you got Geno Smith's contract. I'm just pulling up Sam Darnold so I can make sure to have that in the back of my mind
Right.
because
Yeah.
I want to have those two side by side here. But I think he got 33 million average. Yeah, he got
Something like
100.
that. It was like 32 to 33 in that range. Yeah.
Yeah, he got
100.5, I
50.
think.
Yeah, and then he got 52 million guaranteed. So the guarantees are lower for Darnold for sure.
Hmm.
They're lower. That's granted.
Yeah. And I think there's a 1 year out. Like, they can get out after 1 year and only take like a 15 to 20 minute mil cap hit or something. It's small enough where they don't like it after this year. All right, see ya, kind of a thing.
Well, I'm just thinking last year they were 4-13, and then the year before I want to say that they were pretty similar record. Oh, 8-9. Okay, so slightly
Yeah,
better.
they were fighting for the playoffs the year before, but they didn't quite make it. Yeah.
And then let's go back to the year before that, so I make sure to have that in my mind. 6-11. I mean, like 3 straight years of just bad records, not doing very good.
Hmm.
And I know in 2021 it was a little different. They were a little more competitive, but man, that's brutal. Like that's 3 rough years where your fans and you just barely moved to Las Vegas. Like you're still trying to get the
Hmm.
fan base to engage and to get motivated. This just feels like a solid move to me. It's easier for me to see the vision. I know where they're going. I know what they're trying to do
Hmm.
and what they're trying to build up. And, you know, newsflash, they're looking at taking someone that's a really popular running back for the state of Idaho in the draft
Yes, they
who
are.
pairs
And
super well with Geno
I
Smith.
so want them to draft him. Please, please let it happen. Don't let him fall to 10. Please, please.
I I feel like it's going to happen. I Anyway, but
I do too. It makes way too much sense.
I, there's just so much that would make sense there, the I think what the thing is you look at the move. That's what I'm guessing. You like the moves themselves, but I'm looking at how this puzzle piece is fitting into the rest of the puzzle, and that's the
Hmm.
part I get caught up on is I feel like the Raiders are taking a round peg and fitting it in a round hole, and the Seahawks are taking a square peg and fitting it and trying to fit it in a round hole. And it's just not
Hmm.
happening. Like the overall picture is just not coming together for me. But
Hmm.
you take Geno, he's back with um, Pete
Pete
Carroll,
Carroll.
and I
That
didn't
is the big
even
thing for me. Yeah.
realize it, but my friend helped me realize, my Seattle Seahawks friend, that he took less money to go to the Raiders. He was actually offered more by Seattle, but he wanted to play with Pete Carroll. So he ended up
Hmm.
taking a smaller
Hmm.
contract. Like that's a huge deal. Like that's a really big
Hmm.
factor. And maybe I should view that as a, oh well, I guess they just weren't going to be able to keep him. But
Hmm.
if you know things are going this way, why would you sign Sam Darnold? And that's the part I keep struggling with. And I know there's factors you're going to bring up, so I'll let you dig into your side.
Okay. Okay. I'll start on the Raiders side. So they traded, like you said, a third round, basically a fourth round pick to get Pete Carroll's boy back, which makes sense. He coached him well. They know each other really well. But I'm not really a fan of Geno Smith, the player, as much as a lot of people are. He's solid. He's a solid NFL, starting NFL quarterback. He can make your team competitive. But if you really pay attention to his game, he doesn't really throw the ball downfield super well. He's very high percentage throwing, like completion percentage, like 80%. But that's a lot of like mid-range throws, not really down the field. It doesn't really press the defense all that much. He's got a good arm, not great arm. And he's getting a little up there in age. I think he's like 34, if I'm not mistaken, 35 in that range.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
he's probably got 3 years left, like that extension. I mean, he's probably going to work out that extension. That's going to be about it for Geno Smith, which is fine. And they didn't pay him too much. That 34, 35 a year is what the extension was, something like that.
Yeah.
So they didn't pay him too much. Like I was under the impression that he was looking for the 40 mil, which is probably what he was asking from Seattle. But like you were touching on, he went to Pete Carroll and he said, "Hey, Pete, I'll sign less for you guys." And he signed less. And he's definitely a huge upgrade for that team. That team is going to be decent this year, especially if they get Genty, because they got Brock Bowers, they got Jacoby Myers still. They got a pretty good defense. They still need to improve a little bit, but they got a pretty good defense. And if they get Genty, Geno can do some damage. But they're in a really difficult division. That's the problem with them. Chiefs aren't going away. The Broncos got better. The Chargers are coming. I don't think they're quite there yet, but they're coming. They're a
They're
playoff team for
charging
sure.
Andrew.
There you go. They're charging. Go Chargers, go. Um, but and the Raiders got to play those guys 6 times. To me, that's 6 losses already. Maybe they'll sneak one out, but that's at least 5 losses. And if you're going to be a playoff team, you're going to have to basically win out or close to it. That's tough. And is Geno Smith really going to bring you over the top? And you gave up a not a low draft pick, but you gave us some draft compensation for him. I don't know. I don't know. If they're going the way you're going, like you're saying, they just want to be competitive. They just want to change their culture, try to fight for some wins, get some butts in those seats. Okay, I get it. But I don't know if that's true because Pete Carroll is older. I don't know if he wants to join a team just to change the culture and then retire when he doesn't really win anything. I think he wants to win now. And can they win now? I don't think they can. Maybe in a couple years. Maybe they get some really good draft picks. I don't know. And then going to the Seattle side. So overall, this offseason, I am very confused with what they're doing. They traded their second best receiver. I think JSN is now their best. He's coming. I think last year he kind of overtook Metcalf a little bit, but they traded their really good receiver for a second round pick. Okay, that's not bad, not awful. But then they go pick up Cooper Kupp. That makes zero sense. He's the same, basically the same style as JSN. So they got two of the same player. They have really nobody on the outside. And in this draft, there's maybe a couple of those possibilities, but they won't be able to draft them probably where they're sitting. So it just very strange. But the one I do kind of get is their quarterback change. Because to me, Geno Smith and Sam Darnold are like the exact same player. They're both a solid starting quarterback, can bring you some wins, but isn't really going to make you competitive in the playoffs. The main difference is Sam Darnold has a legit arm. I mean, it's probably arm talent top five in that range. It's mental that he messes with.
Wait, did you say he's top five?
Arm talent, just strictly arm talent. Nothing else about him.
Wow. That
He
that
he's
top
got
five
a
number is doing a lot
hose.
of work like Geno Smith's $85 million contract is.
that he has got a host for arm. There's a reason why he was drafted so high, and people figured he was a bust because he wasn't playing for well for the Jets and the Panthers, which that's a different story. Both those organizations are awful. But he has a legit arm, and I think the biggest piece in all this is the best way to scout a player is by seeing him firsthand. And Sam Darnold had a couple insane throws against the Seahawks last year. There was one where he threw it on a dime in between two guys, where the receiver is on this side of those two guys, and it was Jefferson. Jefferson was on this side of the cornerback. The safety's here, close it in, and he sneaks it right in for a touchdown. It was one of the most beautiful passes I've seen in a long time. That's something Sam Darnold can do. Does he do it a lot? No. Is he consistent? No. But that's what he can do. He's got insane arm talent. It's decision making. It's taking too much time. Those are big problems of his. And that's what the Seahawks are going to see. But as far as just arm talent, it is phenomenal. So I think what the Seahawks were doing is they're looking, hey, Geno, we'll pay you this much. Geno says, no, I don't want that much. I want higher, or I want to go play with my boy Pete. And so Seattle's like, okay, let's call him up, which I don't know who called first. I don't know that. I'm just kind of guesstimating here. So they called up Pete and they said, yeah, let's make a deal. And so they got a third round pick. So the Seahawks end up getting a third round pick, basically a fourth, and a very similar quarterback who's a little bit younger and a little bit cheaper that they can get out of within 1 year if they don't like what he's going to do. And I'm just going to see into the future here. Sam Darnold's probably going to be cut after the season because this team isn't very good. They have no offensive line unless they draft someone, but still they need like three pieces, and they can only get one in this draft. And what does Sam Darnold need? He needs time because he doesn't process quickly. If he has time, he will pick you apart, as you saw with Minnesota last year. But if he's pressured, it's over. And I fear that's what is going to happen with Seattle. He's going to be pressured. He doesn't have the weapons like he did in Minnesota. So I think he's going to have a average-ish, maybe slightly below average-ish year, and they're probably going to part ways next year. But overall, I don't know what Seattle's doing. This regime didn't go after Geno Smith, so they weren't attached to him like Pete Carroll and that regime was. So I understand going a different route, getting some draft compensation, but what the rest they're doing, it just doesn't make any sense. Their offense is not going to be very good. They have two really good running backs behind a bad offensive line. They have a really good young receiver who's going to be paired up with an old guy that does the same stuff. All that I don't get. But the changing Geno Smith for Sam Darnold and then getting a third round pick on top of that, I do understand that. I do understand that. I like it for just that aspect. But if you were going to ask me right now who has a better record at the end of the year, I have to see the draft, but I might lean Raiders. I don't know. It's going to be close. It's going to be really
See, because
close.
that's what I want to ask. Because I feel like that's how you
Yeah.
judge if a move was good or not, is the record. I mean, that's the most important thing. If the record's not there, then it doesn't make sense. But I get what
Well,
you're.
the singular move, the singular quarterback exchange, I excited with the Seahawks, but everything else Seattle's done this offseason, I'm like, what are you doing? That makes no sense. So as an overall team, I don't like what I'm seeing there. Maybe they'll kill it in the draft, who knows? But yeah, that Cooper Cup. So basically, they
Oh,
changed Cooper Cup with DK Metcalf in a second. What are they going to get for a second round pick? There's no receivers in this draft in the second round, really. I
yeah,
don't
I
know.
don't know. I don't know. But like the part I just keep playing in my head is I just think about that Rams game with the Vikings in the playoffs, and Darnold's
Yeah,
just running for his life and doesn't know where
but
to
that's
go.
exactly my point. If he's pressured, he's done for, and that's what is going
But
to happen
that
with Seattle.
But if that's what happens the entire year, and Geno Smith goes over and is a competent quarterback, gets the ball down the field and makes you competitive. I mean, some of those Raider games last year, they were painful. I didn't watch many of them,
Yeah.
but I watched
Hmm.
several, and the offense was.
Hmm.
I mean, the one that comes to my mind, Andrew, is the Raiders Chiefs game,
Hmm.
and the Raiders are just
Yep.
they're almost there in field goal range, but the incompetence of the quarterback and the center on that
Hmm.
exchange was just
Hmm.
brutal. It was brutal. Um,
Yeah.
by the
Yeah.
way, that was a very, unaesthetic play of them trying to do a spike with the time expiring. Maybe they should just go ahead and take the spike out of the
Probably.
playbook, because
Probably.
it's
That
it's
doesn't
it's too
work.
boring. You know,
Yeah, we know what's going to happen.
sorry, I have to be petty there. Um,
Uh-huh.
I I know what you're saying about the Raiders with their division, but I think they split. I think they go 3-3 this year in their division. I don't know how they get the wins.
Wow.
I think that's it. That's like it. But I feel like the chances of them getting 3-3 with Pete Carroll, I think they're pretty good. I feel like they could do that. I don't think they could go higher than that.
I don't know. I don't know. I see the Broncos and the Chiefs going 2-0 against them. I
I
really
don't
do.
know. I like what the Broncos have done, but dude, division games are tough. They're so
They
tough.
are. They are. But Denver is, I mean, we're going to do our division picks later, probably a few weeks down the line after the draft, but I am strongly leaning toward picking the Broncos over the Chiefs. I'm not gonna lie. I really, really, and this is not me living in Colorado drinking their Kool-Aid. I'm not a Broncos fan, not at all. But what I see from what they're
You do live
doing,
in Colorado.
I do, I do. But I'm not a Broncos fan. I am not a Broncos fan. But what they did last year, competing that much with Bo Nix, which was very surprising, and then the off-season moves they made so far, and then if they somehow get like an Omarion Hampton, or if somehow they trade up and get an Ashton Jeanty, I probably will pick them to win the division. If they get a legit running back, I might do it. I might just do it because the Chiefs they lost a lot of offensive line. They don't really have like big time known receivers right now. I mean, Rashee Rice is good. Xavier Worthy's good, but are they it? I don't know. Kelsey's older.
See, but
Anyway, that's besides the point.
I feel like the Raiders could take a win there. I feel like they can really get a win from the Chiefs. I
I don't
don't
know.
think that that's unrealistic to think. It would be tough. I'm not saying it's.
Maybe.
I'm
It depends
like
on the
if
draft. If they get an Ashton Jeanty, I might be convinced. I might be convinced if they can get an Ashton Jeanty or like a superstar offensive weapon because their defense is fine.
Mhm.
There's a couple holes. Like they just cut their corner, I believe it was like Jack Johnson or something like that. So they need corner help.
Yeah.
They don't have a lot of
Hmm.
corners, but they have a good D line. They have a couple good offensive weapons. Now they have a competent quarterback, which really helps. So if they get like a Tet McMillan, or if they get an Ashton Jeanty, or if they get a Will Johnson cornerback, I might be convinced that way. But as you stand right now, no, they're not winning a single game. I might be convinced that they could beat the Chargers at home because I'm not a big Chargers guy. I don't know. I don't.
See,
Everyone's seeing with them.
this is where I think they could get two wins, and if they could win both of those Chargers games, they're 2-4. Like
I don't
that's
see them beating Chargers twice. I don't
but
see
like
them
going on
beating
the road
Chargers
against the Chargers
twice.
doesn't mean anything. Like it's
Yeah,
another home game
it's
for
Harbaugh though.
Denver or
Harbaugh is one of
for
the
Las
best
Vegas
coaches.
or Kansas City. I mean, Andrew,
Yeah,
it I know you know
I,
this
I can
joke,
be
but
convinced for two wins at most. That's at most.
everyone that takes trips to Los Angeles talks about how it's another home game. Like this is a pretty common
It's
theme
fair.
For Rams and Chargers that it's another
Hmm.
home away from home. I, I'm not trying to like bag on them, but the Eagles
Hmm.
when they played the
And
Rams,
who is the AFC West? Who are they playing this year? Like, what divisions are they playing? I don't.
um,
It's not. It's not Minnesota's division. It's not the NFC North because we got the AFC North and we got the NFC
it's
East.
not the
Where is
NFC
you
South,
guys?
so is it the NFC West?
Maybe it's got to be then. That's the only option.
I bet it's the NFC West. Oh no, it's the East.
Oh, oh, oh. So the
Ugh.
Raiders got to play the Commanders, the Eagles,
And that's right. Yeah, that's
Cowboys.
right.
Eh.
But the Commanders and the Eagles, oh man, that just made my
Hmm.
offseason a little more sad over after the whole tush push back to. Here's the good thing: if Andy Reid and the Chiefs choose to vote against the Eagles on the tush push, I sure hope that we just rain on the parade that game. Every single game, I would circle
Oh
every game
yeah.
on my
Oh
calendar that
yeah.
voted against us.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I'm so for real about this, Andrew. If I was the Eagles, I'd be so petty to say, like, I would have a banner that drops that says, greatest team of all time, asterisks, they literally banned a play because of us. Like, just have something like
And
that
I'm
in the
thinking
stadium.
this. I'm thinking this. If It doesn't get passed, but it was widely known that the Chiefs voted against it. I want the whole first drive, the Eagles just to run the tush push. The whole
For the
first
Packers,
drive.
for the Packers, we definitely do that. Like no joke. For the Packers, we absolutely do that.
Hmm.
Um, and their stadium, like, did that would be Lambeau leap
Hmm.
into the end zone if you're Jalen Hurts
There
after
you
the
go.
touchdown. Yeah, this is.
Ooh, you can tush push him into the Lambo leap. Oh,
Oh man, I'm
Packers.
petty. I'm petty.
Well, that's all
All
I
right.
had for the Geno Smith versus Sam Darnold debate, and we're gonna have that for a while. And then after the draft, we'll see what these teams what they look like, and we'll get into these division rankings. That's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But should we touch on the rest of these little deals that happened the past week or so?
Yeah. Should we start with the Joe Milton move?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, I mean, overall, I don't know about you. I give that move a B minus. Like, I don't
Which
like think it's
side?
an for the Cowboys. I think it's a
Okay.
solid move.
Hmm.
B minus,
Yeah.
like let's say starts B minus, grows to a B plus potentially. Like that's kind of how I view it,
Hmm.
where it's got some wiggle room. I mean, it really shouldn't be a B plus A minus move because you have your quarterback. This should not be someone you're relying on heavily to
Hmm.
like do heavy lifting.
Right.
But what I
Right.
will say is that this move strikes me as a concerned about Dak Prescott type of trade. Like I feel like it's like a loose
Yeah.
like eh, I know that they needed a backup quarterback. I know they didn't have one, but you should have been able to get a backup quarterback in the draft. I think you go for someone like this because you're concerned about the Dak Prescott injuries.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I still like the move. I think it's smart for the Patriots. I think it should be like a D plus. I don't really understand what they're doing here. You don't have to even trade this guy. Like there's no need. The only reason
Hmm.
why you trade him is if he comes in and tells you, "Listen, if you're going a different direction, trade me."
Or
Well,
you get a good offer. And they basically, so they drafted him sixth round last year. So they basically got a sixth round pick because they got the Cowboys' fifth round comp pick. And then they also included their seven. So it was basically they wasted that pick last year.
yeah, I don't understand the move, but I
Yeah.
mean,
I
how
mean,
it
you need
goes.
a backup. You need a backup, and Joe Milton proved he could back up because I think he played like week 18 and he played okay. Um, and on the Cowboy side, I'm with you because Trey Lance, that's another player that got signed. He got signed for like $6 million to the Chargers or something. A lot of money for someone who proved that he can't play in this league. So the Cowboys probably saw we're not paying him $6 million. We're already paying Dak 1 billion and 1. We can't pay two quarterbacks too much. What are we doing here? So they just traded for a backup quarterback on his rookie deal, making very little money, and they didn't really pay much for him. So I do like the move for the Cowboys because Joe Milton proved he can come in spots and play. And Cowboys lost Cooper Rush too. I think he went to the
The Ravens,
Ravens. Okay.
yeah, which I think is a
So
solid
they
move.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I'll actually went to Minnesota to get Cooper Rush, but I think we have plans some other way. But because Cooper Rush is a solid backup, he can come in, he can get you a couple wins if you need him to. And so they had nobody behind Dak, and like you said, Dak's injury prone, his injury history, so they needed someone, and maybe they feel like they could work with Joe Milton, improve his accuracy because that's been a problem of his. So I do really like the Cowboys side because they paid nothing for him. They paid a sixth round pick and they got him and a seventh. That's nothing. That's nothing. But yeah, on the Patriots, I mean, I know Joe Milton's never going to play, but he's never going to play above Drake May, and then Drake May gets hurt. So I get that. But why exchange him for nothing when you, like you said, you need a backup, and he proved he could back up. It just, why make the move? Just keep him on your team, unless, like you said, he is talking behind the scenes, say, I don't want to be here. Get me out of here. I'm never going to start over Drake May. Get me out of here. If that's the case, okay, I understand. But to my knowledge, as of right now, there's been no steam, no noise on that. So it doesn't really make sense on the Patriot side.
Yeah, I do want to mention one quick thing. I've been impressed by the Cowboys bargain shopping via trading because they got Kenneth Murray from the
Yeah.
Titans and they got Kyer Elam from
Yeah, he's
the
good.
Bills.
Hmm.
Just like I feel like solid, like low level
Well, they don't have any
moves.
cap space, so they had to.
Well, I mean, yeah, and the blunders continue. Jones's comment
Hmm.
about not signing Parsons until he's absolutely sure that they
That's
have the right
stupid.
deal.
That's stupid.
You would think that a $60 million contract for your quarterback would teach you to reconsider the way
Uh-huh.
you structure deals, but
Yeah, look what
not in
happened.
Jones' world.
Garrett got what, 40 million? What was it? Something stupid.
Oh yeah, way too much. Yeah.
So Parsons is gonna want to get paid more, which I don't blame him. In my opinion, Parsons is on the same level and he's younger.
hmm
So he's gonna get more money. So he's gonna get what, like 42, 43? He's probably gonna looking to get paid more than Jamar Chase.
At this point, I think that they're going to trade him.
They
I
kind
really
of have to for at least financial ways. Because if they pay him 41, $42 million a year while they're paying Dak 60, that's almost half your cap space with two
well, CeeDee
players.
Lamb, CeeDee Lamb's in there too.
That
It's like
too.
you gotta.
hmm
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's the Bengals. The Bengals and the Cowboys, they're making no sense.
Yeah, man, it's crazy.
hmm
One other thing I want to mention real quick, besides the Trey Lance absurdity of, I mean, it
Yeah.
is a heavy lifting contract. It's a heavy lifting one. You have no idea what the
hmm
actual number is. It's a heavy
Right.
lifting,
Right.
but they also already had a solid backup. So it's another situation where it's like, you
hmm
know, Heineke's fine. There's,
I like him.
but
Yeah. I like him as a backup.
the move I actually liked the most was the McBride extension for the Cardinals. I felt
Yeah.
like, and it's a good time because same
It was
principle,
early.
right?
hmm
He's just going to get more expensive. It's just going to get
hmm
more and more expensive to resign this guy, and I think it's a good value for them. And
I
he's
agree.
got so much potential, so much potential.
Right. He's like the second best tight end in the league right now. I would take Brock Bowers one, even though it was a rookie year, but he was just so good. I would take Brock Bowers one, McBride two, probably. Then we can talk about the Kelseys, the Goddards, the Hawkinsons, those type of guys in that range. I've never really been a big Laporta guy, and I think last year kind of showed that maybe a little bit. Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, I think McBride's like the second best tight end in this league.
Sam Laporte is not bad, but he's not McBride.
Yeah,
That's the
he's
way I would say
good,
it.
but yeah, he's not
He's
on that
good, but he's
level.
not
Yeah, he's a different
he's
tier.
not
hmm
yeah, he's not McBride.
For sure.
Um, but yeah, just a solid move.
Yep.
I put it in this vein. There was the Steelers extension last offseason with Freiermuth, and that one puzzled me because
hmm
Freiermuth was good, but I think he was averaging. I want to say he was averaging. I don't know, was it 600 yards a season? It was not a lot,
Yeah.
but they extended him
Yeah.
to yeah. He's been 600 yards last year, 300 yards in 23, 700 yards in 22, and almost 500 yards in 21. Like that's Fryermuth's numbers, along with major
hmm
injuries. But then you go and you shift over to McBride's numbers, and
Mm,
McBride had
different story.
1,146 yards last year, averaging 10 yards a catch, 825 and 23, and 10 yards average. And in 2022, that one was a little complicated because that was the year that Zach Ertz. Oh no, I'm sorry. He was no, but Zach Ertz was there, right? Zach Ertz was there by
I
then.
think so. I think
Yeah,
so.
I think Zach
Yeah.
Ertz went in 21, and so
hmm
Zach Ertz was still the starting tight end for the Cardinals, so he was
Yep.
competing for that job. So the
hmm
265 yards is skewed, but I mean that's
Yep.
a solid track record. Solid track
He's really
record.
good. I've loved him in fantasy.
So yeah, great move by them.
Yep.
The Cardinals are another team. You know when you like something, like have you ever like something you let's say like a food you really like, right? Like maybe it's not
hmm
pizza, maybe it's not like you know a really delicious American cheeseburger, but it's like solid, right? It's like a good
hmm
meal that you always leave feeling filled. I can't think of a good example right now, um,
Like a
but
good
that
thick turkey sandwich.
yeah, that's perfect example. Or a roast beef sandwich, right? Like some
Yeah,
type
yeah,
of
yeah.
deli meat
hmm
sandwich that's not like you wouldn't grab that first. That's not your first choice,
hmm
but you would never
Yep.
look at it and think, "Wow, what a terrible, meal I'm about to
hmm
have." Like I feel like that's where the
Yep.
Cardinals are right now. I like them. I don't like them enough to
I
be
know.
excited about them,
I agree. I
but they're
agree.
just making lots of really good, solid moves.
Hmm
Just the
It might
Josh
stem
Sweat
back to their
signing.
quarterback. I don't know. I don't know because they had a good defense
Oh,
last year. The metrics they
yeah.
showed, they fought on defense. And and on paper, I really liked the Marvin Harrison Jr. draft pick last year, but that didn't turn out very well at all. Could it be the quarterback? Maybe. I don't know.
It
I don't
could
know.
be
But yeah, I'm
adjusting
with
too.
you. I'm with you. I like them overall. It's just they seem like something's missing. I don't know what it is. I just don't
Yeah.
know what it is.
Well, I like the direction they're going.
Yep.
And even if things don't work out with Murray, you're going to get to a point here soon enough where you can start thinking about pivoting from him. Because we're what, 2 years removed
Hmm.
from that extension, probably one
Something like
more
that.
year.
Something like
So
that. Yep.
I think that you could start thinking about life without Murray if you're not feeling sold.
Hmm.
Which if I'm them at this point, you
Yeah.
got to start
To
thinking
me,
about
I
it.
give him one more year. If he doesn't show a lot of like hope this year, yeah, I might be moving on.
Yeah. So, well, I think that's it for me on news around the NFL. Unless there's something else you got, Andrew.
I don't think so. Yeah, I think that's it for now. Draft is right around the corner, and then we'll get like the post-draft wave of few other free agents that are signing. That'll be interesting. But yeah, as of right now, I think that's about it.
All righty. Well, good work. Things to work on with the Seattle Seahawks trade to look forward, or with the signings and stuff with
Hmm.
Darnold, and we'll see what happens with
Hmm.
Geno. I look forward to taking a
Yep.
victory lap at the end of this year. So we're going to mark
Okay.
that.
We'll see
We're
what
coming back to
happens.
that. Yeah.
What's the victory going to be? Teams wins or quarterbacks numbers?
Man, that's a tough question. I feel like it's going to be tied to both. I feel like that
Okay. Hmm.
in my mind.
Okay. And also we could say tenure on the team.
Let me look at Sam Darnold's numbers real quick before I make any guesses. His numbers were good last year, but he does not have the same cast that he had last year.
He does not. No, those numbers
It's
are a
not
little
even
skewed for
close.
sure. Those numbers are a little skewed for sure.
But Geno Smith had similar numbers as far as like passing. I'm not talking about touchdown interception. That's a different story. Granted, different
Hmm.
story. But the passing rating wasn't that much different.
Hmm.
Geno's completion numbers.
And I could say
I'm going to
that
lock it in.
both quarterbacks don't have the same weapons right now. Right now.
I'm just gonna lock it in. I'm gonna say right now that Geno Smith will have more wins and will have better passing numbers than Sam Darnold.
Okay. Okay. We'll see. We'll see.
Um,
And I might be going split. I might say that the Raiders get more wins as of right now. We'll see what the draft goes. But I would say that Sam Darnold has more numbers than Geno. Not by a lot, but maybe a little bit.
Interesting. I like it. I like it. I'm
Hmm.
excited to come back to this, Andrew. I'm gonna own it right now. I think Geno's gonna get over 4,000 yards passing. He might be doing it with Brock Bowers
Maybe.
limping his way. Jacoby Myers sprinkled in there. Maybe some Ashton Genty
Hmm.
catches coming to filter the numbers
Hmm.
too. But I I like it.
Okay.
It's a good question. Okay, that'll be
Yeah.
fun. Well, that's it for me, man.
All right. Well, that's it for us in this episode. We're looking at probably doing a mock draft here soon, especially with the draft coming around. We're going to do a few of those, get in some other stuff. But thank you guys for joining us this week in the Grind and Grind with Andrew and Lance. We will see you next time.
We'll see you guys soon. Don't forget to subscribe. Leave us a 5-star rating. We need
Yes,
all the help we
please.
can get.
Please.
Okay, we'll see you guys soon.